It's estimated that the majority of US adults read at an 8th grade level and about 20% read at or below a 5th grade level. This presents a major problem for nutrition educators, as most health education material is written at a 9th grade level or higher. While disturbing, this is the perfect position for the private sector to capitalize on the public's ignorance. And we can see this in real time with how popular fad diets, unsubstantiated dietary supplements, conspiracy theorists in positions of power, and charlatan podcasts are. With so much mis and disinformation, is it any wonder that people are confused and struggling to make informed dietary decisions? It's not uncommon to even see people go as far as rejecting science and public health guidelines altogether. The reality is that a lot of people just simply lack the nutrition literacy to sort through the noise, i.e. the skills and knowledge needed to make adequate nutrition decisions, or at least the ability to seek out services that can help them make those decisions. So in this video, I'm going to briefly explore why I think nutrition literacy education is broadly failing and what I believe you can do about it. If we start at the beginning, the obvious question that arises is, why aren't we taught this in school? If what you're saying is true, surely nutrition literacy should be taught to us from an early age. Depending on what school you attended, you may actually have received some nutrition education, albeit likely brief, mostly theoretical, and almost certainly delivered by a random teacher who probably couldn't care less.
Right, let me have a look. I get paid extra for this, you know.
Crowded curriculums and a lack of perceived importance of the subject matter mean that it's just not a priority, with the focus on schooling often being test scores in core subjects rather than to help students critically think, read, write, and live long, healthy lives. But let me know in the comments if you think your school done a good job. I'd be really keen to hear. Now, there's various tools validated for certain populations, but most of them focus on theoretical knowledge and neglect practical application. So I think mostly flipping this is best. Here's a quick example of a non-validated but fairly practical nutrition literacy test that I designed in 10 minutes, so definitely take it with a pinch of salt.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Don't tell me what to do.
But feel free to pause the video and score yourself on these 3 areas. For each number, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is not at all and 5 is very well. I think a score of 12 or higher out of 15 would indicate pretty good nutrition literacy, with lower scores probably suggesting areas for improvement. What's abundantly clear is there's many factors that determine nutrition literacy, and there's going to be a lot of nuance within each factor, but the 3 that I see as heavy hitters are, number 1, education.
That are education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as.
So this is inherently broad. When I say education, I'm mostly talking about primary schooling all the way to university, but let's expand on that. I think education should encompass things like critical thinking skills, the umbrella of health literacy, media literacy, which I see as tightly intertwined with nutrition literacy, and just general exposure to nutrition labeling and concepts. 2, socioeconomic environment. Nutrition literacy in a Portuguese population will likely differ to that of a Turkish or Chinese or Irish population, and within any environment, income level, cultural norms, a country's policies, family habits, social networks, and even just access to food are going to be playing a significant role as well. And lastly, just an individual's characteristics. Gender specifically seems to have some research behind it, with women in certain populations having significantly higher nutrition literacy than men. This seems to translate professionally to the fields of dietetics and nutrition, which tend to be dominated by women. And some folk will also naturally just have a desire and personal motivation to learn about nutrition. That's where their own curiosity leads them. So TLDR, there's loads of factors that determine someone's nutrition literacy. This is all well and good, but what does being nutrition literate actually mean for you? Let's answer this with some very tangible examples. Person A has just been diagnosed with cancer. They resort to diving deep into online nutrition forums searching for answers. They stumble across posts claiming miraculous cancer cures through a fruitarian diet. The anecdotes are very compelling. It worked for me, it can work for you. Driven by desperation and hope, they completely reject their oncologist treatment plan, believing that flooding their body with fruit sugars will starve the cancer. Months later, their condition worsens and the missed window for effective treatment has devastating consequences. Person B has chronically been running a carnivore diet. They first encountered it through a YouTuber boasting about their life-changing transformation. Enthralled by cherry-picked studies on mice and a flood of personal testimonials, they committed fully, eliminating near all fiber from their diet. A decade later, they're battling severe GI issues. And person C believes eating a high-protein diet causes kidney issues. They've religiously stuck to a low-protein dietary pattern for 20 years, influenced by outdated advice and fear-mongering from friends and family. Now they're experiencing significant bone and muscle loss, struggling with frailty and poor mobility. Collectively, these individuals have significantly increase their odds of premature death, with their outcomes sadly being driven by something as simple as poor nutrition literacy. Had they been able to understand and critically evaluate basic nutrition information, they would have been able to grasp that what they were doing was incredibly risky. So better nutrition literacy more than likely means a better quality of life, not just health outcomes wise, but also financially and time wise. And this is supported by literature in JAMA, where they found that health literacy, the umbrella which nutrition literacy resides in, was a stronger predictor of a person's health than age, income, race, employment status, and even education level. I'm obviously focusing here on the individual, but if you're privileged enough to even consider the downstream consequences of nutrition literacy, then you can definitely appreciate how it factors into things like the environmental impact of your food, your family's diet, and possibly even the profits of big health and wellness.
Fuck 'em! Fuck 'em up against the wall!
So hopefully that sold you on why nutrition literacy is important for you, your family, and your community. So why is nutrition literacy failing so many people? Like I outlined earlier, there's tons of factors influencing it, but I think education, regulation, and socioeconomic environment are the primary culprits. If education curriculums placed a little bit more emphasis on health literacy and practical nutrition education, skill, motivation, and lifetime interest to take action on nutrition might be that bit better. If there were strict regulation on the food and dietary supplement industries with respect to misleading health claims, misinformation, and aggressive marketing tactics on social media, people wouldn't have to deal with such conflicting nutrition messaging that drives so much confusion and fosters such unhealthy behaviors. And if people had more money and their day-to-day environment wasn't designed to often act against nutrition literacy, then maybe literacy would be improved. So long-term, top-down approaches are key. Now, practical application is the name of the game. Theory is fine, but it's kind of pointless without putting it to work. And waiting for industry and policy reform is also going to be like watching paint dry, so taking individual responsibility is going to be necessary in my opinion. So here's my 3-step framework for improving nutrition literacy. Essentially, just flip from the earlier literacy test. It's far from perfect, and I'll likely iterate on it, but it's nice and actionable. So firstly, learn to understand back-of-pack nutrition labeling. Fuck the front. If you can understand the back, you'll be able to see through the BS of most of the claims on the front anyway. If you don't know where to start here, download MyFitnessPal or any food tracking app and just start scanning the barcodes of food items that are staples in your diet and explore the idea of tracking them. Do this for a couple of weeks to familiarize yourself with serving sizes, energy, fiber, micro and macronutrient content of your habitual foods. This sounds overly simplistic, but it's an incredibly valuable skill if you ever want to take thoughtful agency of your body composition and possibly influence your own health outcomes. Secondly, identify go-to resources that you can turn to fact-check nutrition information. The 3 I broadly recommend are Flexible Dieting by Alan Aragon for weight management questions, Examine.com for dietary supplement questions, and just good old ChatGPT or your preferred AI assistant for when you want a quick answer. And if your prompting skills aren't the best, iterate them over time and customize ChatGPT to be bespoke to you. And lastly, grocery shop and prepare meals with purpose. Making meals for pleasure is great, but adding in some purpose can be really useful. Now, this will obviously look different based on your current circumstances. For many of you, it could just mean reading the back label of some food items before buying them, whereas for others, it could mean maybe comparing 2 similar items for calories or protein content per serving. Whatever the case, start small. Maybe down the line you like the idea of building some muscle or lowering your cholesterol or increasing your dietary fiber intake. And with that, your grocery shop and meals will change along with the effort you put into scrutinizing each food item. Iterate this over time and your skills and knowledge will compound. And a bonus one, make more money. Now, this is not a Molly May, everyone has the same 24 hours in a day BS. Not everyone is going to be in a position where they can just try to make more money. So broadly, I'm a bit conflicted on this one, but it makes sense. It's more a call to action that if you do have the capacity to make more money and you're maybe operating at 50 to 60%, then making more will most likely help. If not for you, then maybe for your family. And this is possibly from a food availability, education availability, and just an opportunity point of view. If I want to upskill on nutrition literacy and I have the money, I can just work one-to-one with a coach or access a 12 to 16 week course that will exponentially pay down my ignorance debt. Whereas if money is scarce, there's a good bit more resistance of going through the process of becoming more nutrition literate. But regardless of your current situation, you should be able to apply some of these to better your nutrition literacy, and hopefully this will translate to you having a better quality of life, more money and more time without you wasting it on fad diets and pseudoscientific nutrition nonsense. Nutrition literacy is a luxury to even consider, so if you have the resources to do so, the upside is potentially huge. I based a decent portion of this video on personal opinion without citing cold hard lit, so definitely take some of it with a pinch of salt, but if you found it useful, feel free to engage in the comments or share it with your family and friends. And if you want to work with me one-to-one, where I teach you all I know across 12 weeks and guide you to your desired health and performance outcomes, sign up for my fitness mentorship. It'll be linked below. I'll see you in the next one.
So you think these are potatoes? Not potatoes, though.
Oh no.